Good morning and welcome to a bank holiday morning. And don't you think sometime today there might be an opportunity for a little hokey pokey. And hokey pokey is the term used in the 19th century for ice cream. And ice cream was a delicacy for a hot day. I don't know whether it's going to be a hot day or whether it's going to be another day filled with showers. But in 1961, the ice cream industry was ripped into a new style in the UK following the US, who introduced a thing called an ice cream van. The ice cream van was introduced in 1956 in Philadelphia, and it came into the UK in 1961. So it's got a certain amount of traction, and it's heralded by the ice cream chimes, originally green sleeves, but now it can be anything from the Blue Peter theme to Captain Pugwash and Popeye. And it's, you go to the beach, you go to Brighton, and there it is, the ice cream van chiming away and offering you a Mr. Whippy with a flake. Now, I quite like an ice cream. I think with a beard, it's not something I would munch in public, but because it gets everywhere. You need a hanky and a lot of running water to eat an ice cream with a beard. But the first ice cream van was in 1961, so it's sort of been all the way through my childhood and life, the ice cream chimes. And they're quite sweet, unless they cause noise pollution, which they did in Louth, which is in Lincolnshire, which is oddly where I was brought up. And somebody complained about noise pollution. What do I think about noise pollution and about ice cream chimes? Well, oddly, although I'm quite keen on a sneaky ice cream, I'm not keen on noise pollution at all. And this isn't so much the fault of the ice cream vans, or specifically the fault of Harrison's ice cream vans. They've got 4 vans which run around Louth and Cleethorpes and Grimsby. But it's the fault of the government, and specifically DEFRA in 2013, which increased the terms on which ice cream chimes could be bashed out. So it went up from, I think, about 4 seconds, you could do a sort of 4-second chime, to 12 seconds. That's quite a long time. And the volume, the amplification, went up as well. And it can't exceed 80 decibels, but that's very high. That's very noisy. But the key thing is it allowed the chimes to be played when the van was stationary, which wasn't the case before. So you can play the chimes when it's entering a street, when it's stationary in the street, and then you have to move on and play the chimes again in another street. Now, when the objection was made, when the complaint was made, Mr. Barton, John Barton, who runs the ELDC, said it's alleged that when the weather is nice, the van is in the area every evening between 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock. It's been alleged that the chimes are overly loud and are used excessively between the above times. It is alleged that the Blue Peter style chimes are sounded too often, too frequently, and potentially for too long. Well, the Harrison, Mr. Barton, who owns Harrison, has said that it's frustrating It's only 12 to 15 seconds of music, and it's not in your ear. I've come across some weird things, and this is one of the weirdest. In the middle of the summer season, you don't expect that sort of complaint. New houses are getting built in Louth, and and with that you get people and issues. I did consider pulling the vans from Louth when I got the complaint. And if he could speak to the complainant, Mr. Barton would tell them, "Approach us first. I'm understanding. I'm not unreasonable. I'll give you an ice cream. I'd be happy to deal with it personally." But instead, it's a serious complaint. Now, Mr. Barton has made a mistake, because he's not allowed to play his chimes for 12 to 15 seconds. He's only allowed to play his chimes for up to 12 seconds. And these chimes apparently were going on relentlessly. They were overly loud and insistent. Well, they can't be insistent if they only play when a van is entering the street and when it's stationary in the street. And there's supposed to be 2-minute intervals between those two events. They're only supposed to be played once every 2 hours in any given street. Now, the whole problem is the lure of the hokey pokey, and the ice cream van is almost unique in touting its wares audibly. It's something that we don't have in our society anymore, unlike in Victorian society when people were bellowing for apples and milk and whatever. The vendors were shouting. We don't have that anymore. And in fact, megaphones are banned. You're not supposed to be shouting in a megaphone. So this little traditional oddity should be encouraged, and yet, as I said at the beginning, it's not really traditional, is it? It's American. It's not part of the British summer. It's imported into the British summer. And my concern about this sort of cacophonous intimidation is it's not unique. It's not unique at all. We think it is. But it's not. Because somehow, if you go on a train, you've got this cacophonous intimidation all the time about the cafe opening hours, about the wonderful things you can get in the canteen, about the security. It's endless. And it begins with the ice cream van. The ice cream van has launched us into some sort of aural nightmare of noise. I think we should make a stand against it when and if we can, despite the lure and charm of the summer and the associations that these chimes might have in other less noisy and less intimidating situations. But no, seriously, the ice cream van, it shouldn't be causing offence, should it? It really shouldn't. But if it does, then it needs to tone its chimes down, and it needs to obey the rules. And 12 seconds is all it's allowed. There we are. You got it from me.